to the next segment, the final segment of the MLS section of this discussion, and Brett's going to take us to the San Jose New York Red Bulls massacre that occurred this weekend.
Very uncharacteristically, San Jose defeated the Red Bulls 4-0. Now, for a team that has been not flat out dominant, they've been earning the wins. We'll put it that way.
Right.
New York loses 4-0. It is very uncharacteristic of them.
Ouch. Yeah, 4-0. They didn't get. But you were mentioning earlier they had a man sent off.
Yeah, it was an early red card. And my big question is, how big of a role did that play? Would San Jose have actually won if they had the full roster out there?
It sounds like they might have, and of course they've played much better this season. This isn't your San Jose from last season where they were a joke. It sounds like they've really brought in some good finds from across the world. Actually, a lot of good international players, and it also sounds like Bobby Convey's playing a little bit better out there.
Yeah, apparently his play in the past two games have gotten Ives from Soccer by Ives to really push for him to get onto the 30-man roster.
You think that's a little bit of a joke, though?
That seems kind of a... While he says he's making a late push into the 30-man roster, I think that's a bit of a push to say. Because, I mean, yes, he's had a couple good games here in the past couple weeks, but there is no reason to include him in the 30-man roster. I mean, the 30-man roster is already competitive enough. You don't want to put a guy in there who's had a history of not performing in the past couple years.
And he's a midfielder. We don't need any more midfielders.
That is our strongest area of the entire field. A winger per se, you know. And
yeah.
We really don't need any more in there in the 30-man roster, and that was really a push to say. And I was kind of. It almost made Ives seem like he was like building the MLS up a bit. Whereas Lawless said that, you know, MLS is a bunch of 10-year-olds. Ives is sitting here presenting that MLS, a guy who performs a couple games in MLS could easily make the 30-man roster.
Yeah, that seems like he seems to have lost some perspective, or at least some context there, because, you know, Bobby Convey is a guy that's been out of the running forever. And he's not a striker. If he were, and he was scoring a lot of goals, sure, people might talk, but he's a midfielder. We don't need midfielders. So, you know, it's kind of end of discussion, and it really calls on, you know, in some ways, Ives, you know, it seems almost like a rookie comment by him. Or, you know, I don't know if he made it personally. Did he make that statement personally?
It was on his site, and it didn't have an author's name by it, so I'm assuming it was actually him. Because he does have several people posting on his blog now.
So. Well, if it was him, it just seems like a rookie error to even consider Convey at this point for a midfield position on the national team. That's all I'll say.
There's just too many other solid options. I mean.
Yeah.
Even over Convey, you have people who could play winger outside of our starting two. You have Holden, you have Bedoya, you have Failhaber, you even have Torres. I would take Torres over
Beasley. I'd take Beasley over Convey.
Yeah, and I mean that right there. That's 5 deep just for the wings.
And we don't
have a spot for him.
Yeah, really. We haven't even mentioned Dempsey and Donovan yet.
Well, those are the two starters that I originally mentioned. I just said outside of our two starters.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's, listen, you know, I mean, if he were a striker, discussion. If he were a left back, discussion. He's neither, and there is no discussion.
Hey, wait a minute. Convey played a little bit of left back for San Jose.
Well, I'm sure he did in a stretch, but come on now. The guy is not exactly what I call left back material. He's not a tenacious defender.
And the other point I really want to bring up for the San Jose New York game is New York's goalkeeper, Condul.
Oh, yeah. Oops.
While he will make some amazing athletic saves, like having his strength in the box is having to stretch across the goal and make that fingertip save.
Right.
He is not the world's greatest decision maker as far as shot stopper. And one of the goals in this game really makes you question how he's an actual starter. You know, maybe they're hoping that the defenders will stop most of the opportunities, but in this game it didn't work out the way. San Jose had a shot on goal. It was kept low. Gondul made a dive to the side, but he made it as though he was going to have to stretch really far, and he got off the ground. The ball went underneath him for a goal. Massive boo-boo. And it, like I said, it's a while he can be an amazing goalkeeper at sometimes, he makes some horrific blunders.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's going to can keep that starting spot. I figure if Red Bulls make any changes during the summer, it's going to be the goalkeeper.
Well, that's a good transition into the last section with New England and Columbus, because there were two horrendous goalkeeper errors there as well. The first one being the young guy Boggs from New England, who shot what you would consider to be a pretty savable shot, and it went right under William Hesmer. Rather embarrassing goal, actually. But they weren't done yet with bad goalie mistakes, because tied 2-2. You thought New England might pull out a point, but no. With about 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes left, Preston Burpo makes a big burp up, and on a goal kick, kicks the ball maybe 25 yards, 20 yards down the field, gives up possession. The ball's taken down the field. This is, in the dying minutes of the game, and Robbie Rogers pokes one in at the end, and game over. And I'm sure that the New England keeper was pretty embarrassed by that. Burpo had to be.
We're talking about two goalkeepers who, consistently are really good goalkeepers. While Burpo doesn't get as much credit as he deserves, he has been an incredible goalkeeper for his time at the Rapids, as well as his short stint with New England, despite the fact that their results are pretty poor at the moment. And then Hesmer has been consistently one of the top goalkeepers, in my opinion, in MLS for the past couple years, at least the last 2 years.
But we've seen a lot of goalkeeper mistakes this season, and I'm just pointing out, those are two of them, and they are really high school level errors, honestly.
Well, you got to look at the positives. At least MLS is going to keep their goalkeepers. So while they're consistent, these little burp-ups, as you put it, are going to keep our depth in our goalkeeper, which makes it a really solid spot overall.
Right. I would just go ahead.
I was going to say, what a terrible result for New England, a team that's been struggling for points all season. And they had the draw on hand, and then they had a screw-up at the very end of the game and resulted in they lost the point, basically.
Yeah,
And the Crew really won the 3 points.
Yeah.
I mean, they capitalized.
It was tragic in a lot of ways, but, at the same time, Columbus really did dominate the whole game. Schletto was brilliant. Lenhart, I will say, missed about 4 opportunities, which is why he was probably pulled at the end of the game. I mean, Big Bird, as we call him. He had 4 great opportunities, and he blew them all completely. Headers, whatever you want to, all matter of things. Then Ekbo came in for Columbus, and he was really the spark for the team, and really why Columbus came back and won that game. He was pressure. Frankie Hayduck, or Hey Dude, whatever you want to call him, made 2 great passes that really, offensive, through passes that were really spectacular. Maybe he's making a little case for himself. We'll see. And then Gavin scored a great goal as well. So in the end, Columbus dominated that game anyhow. They should have won it anyhow. And but the thing that stood out was the goalkeeper errors. So I think we're about done with this segment as well. And we're going to be back for the final segment, which is we're going to discuss the 30-man roster selection by the United States national team. And we'll see you shortly for that.